Hey, what's going on, listeners? It's Wednesday night in South Carolina. Welcome to the Touchdowns Podcast. We got a loaded episode today. It is a bye week for the Cox upcoming this weekend, but we still got a jam-packed episode. We're talking news around the nation. There's a lot of injury news and coaching changes. We also want to get in a little bit to our next opponent, LSU. That game is scheduled for October 11th, so they are also on a bye, but we want to talk a little bit about LSU and then also get into the DB Blitz. As always, on Wednesday, we're still going to have picks, even though the Gamecocks aren't playing. And we'll always have our listener questions, so we will get to those. But want to dive into, I think, quickly talk about the big news out of Baton Rouge where Thomas and I's family roots are held down, the Dugas. But big news out of Baton Rouge: Garrett Nussmeier has apparently been playing with an injury this entire season. It was an abdomen injury from the report I saw that was sustained in the preseason, and Brian Kelly was saying he could play through it. Clearly, their offense has been anemic, to say the least. We just thought first game against Clemson on the road, Clemson has all this hype around their defense with three potential first round picks. Okay, that's a pass. They look like shit against Southeastern, a small school out of Louisiana. They looked bad against Florida. They won that game off of their defense with a pick six, and then again against Ole Miss, they don't score enough and lose that game. So it's been an overall bad season for someone who was projected to be the Heisman by a lot of people, and LSU was projected to be a college football playoff contender because of Garrett Nussmeier and the weapons that they accrued in the transfer portal. So I want to get your thoughts, Thomas. We don't want to preview this game too much because we're going to dive into an in-depth preview in next Wednesday's episode. But just a quick look ahead, and I think this is maybe one of the bigger stories in college football that Garrett Nussmeier is actually has been playing through an injury, and there's potential that, Brian Kelly, I saw a report tonight that the backup is taking all the first team reps this week in practice, and he's straight up resting. So, what does this injury mean in the grand scheme of things? Maybe not just for the game against us next week, but for college football as a whole. This is a huge story. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so the backup in question would be Michael Van Buren. He's a transfer from Mississippi State. Good looking kid, made some impressive plays for him while he was there, but he doesn't know the offense. Obviously, he's not as experienced as Nussmeier. So, as in terms of what it means for the bigger picture, I think that most people still think that if LSU uh, can navigate Nussmeier's injury and not drop too many games, they still see LSU as a playoff team. They clearly have a championship level defense. The defense is playing really well. Uh, they've been really impressive. The problem has been their offense and more specifically their running game. But but to your point, Nussmeier has not played up to expectation. He has not looked great throwing the ball, and I guess a lot of that has to do with him, playing injured, with it being an abdominal muscle or injury. He can't get into the deep throws the way that he needs to physically. So yeah, that's definitely something to monitor moving forward. When we talk about playoff discussions and who's in and who's out. But for our matchup, not to get too much into it because we're going to break it down next week as well. Um, you know, it's huge. If we play an injured Nussmeier, you got to feel better about our chances. And then if we play a quarterback that hasn't had the opportunity to start in any game so far this season, even if he's healthy, like we said, he's not as experienced. So yeah, I think regardless of who we see next week, you got to feel a lot better about our chances going into that matchup than you did in August.
Yeah, what do you mean? I'm looking at this like, why is he not sitting against Southeastern? If the dynamics of, does Brian Kelly know about this injury in the preseason? He comes out, he gets the W in Clemson, so it's like, hey, it's all gravy. We got the W. There's no fire alarms going off like, hey, the offense actually looked like shit. Why doesn't he sit him against Southeastern? Why? What is that dynamic? I think a lot of Gamecock fans, and I think I've personally called out Beamer on this podcast about how he's kind of shady around injuries and he's not, and clearly it's coach speak and you don't want to give your opponent any information that you don't have to. And now the SEC has these mandated injury reports that have to come out for SEC games because of the lack of transparency from coaches around injuries. But this is the starting quarterback, a Heisman candidate type of guy. This is a huge deal as far as what Brian Kelly's trying to do at LSU, and they're trying to get over the hump because, and we'll get into the coaching carousel a little bit later on, but I think Brian Kelly's a guy that he goes 9-3, 8-4 this year. His seat is hotter than some of these other guys out there because just of the expectations from LSU. So, do you feel like he trotted Garrett Nussmeier out there knowing he was hurt and just hoping he could get by, and now it's starting to bite him in the ass? Like, what are your thoughts there?
Well, yeah, I mean that is a good point. Why play him at all against the two non-conference, non-Power Four teams if he's hurt? So maybe his injury isn't as bad, and they're just kind of using the injury as a scapegoat to take the pressure off of how bad the offense has performed. So maybe the injury is kind of a misdirection to kind of turn the volume down on the complaints over the offensive play calling or just the overall offensive production, because it doesn't really make sense that if the injury was severe, he would be playing in those games at all. Yeah, so but to your point about the hot seat, I actually heard this on the radio. The three coaches prior to Brian Kelly at LSU all won a national championship by their fourth year. Those being Ed Orgeron, Nick Saban, and Les Miles. So the expectation when they brought him in from Notre Dame was to win a national championship, and it wasn't on a 10-year time frame. They're used to having their coach win a national championship this far into their tenure, and then when you had the Bryce Underwood flip from LSU to Michigan, kind of the only thing that calmed the fan base down about losing him was the reallocation of all of that money into the portal. So, they've hired the coach that is supposed to be able to do it, and then they've also spent the money. So the fact that they're not looking how they were supposed to or want to, his seat is getting hotter and hotter every week.
Yeah, let's continue that thought because we're going to get into the next topic here is the coaching carousel, and so I want to continue on this thought process of what Brian Kelly's going through at LSU because I mean 2019 is damn near the perfect college football season of all time. I mean they had the best offense maybe ever with Joe Burrow, Terrence Marshall, Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Thaddeus Moss. I mean, that offense put up 50 points a game. They beat the hell out of everyone. They went 15-0. Ed Orgeron was a culture fit at LSU. He fit into what that fan base is about. Brian Kelly's the exact opposite. I mean, that's the all-time Twitter when it's the spin around with Brian Kelly, and he's just with the recruit, and he's looking awkward as hell. And then the opening press conference, family, like trying to draw shit out when he's a northern boy. I don't even know where he's from, but coached at Cincinnati, Notre Dame. He's just not a fit there for the people of Louisiana, and they, like you said, they expect to win soon. And the guy, he hasn't won any of their big rivalry games. He's, before beating Clemson this year, he was 0 in season openers, which props to LSU for playing quality season openers every year of his tenure. So I'll give him respect for that. They weren't playing cupcakes, but they were going on that big stage, that big national stage, and they were falling short. So I think there's going to be a short leash with him. And again, our Gamecocks are the first domino that could fall. If we could get a win in Baton Rouge at night, that's going to start ramping up that hot seat. And so, along with Brian Kelly, I think a couple other
I don't
coaches.
think he's on the hot seat yet.
I'm not saying yet, Ross.
What's his buyout? In my opinion,
quick.
the buyout is the only thing that has him relatively comfortable. Because
look at the buyout, but then
the only thing, to your point, that they have to hang their hat on under his tenure is the Jaden Daniels Heisman. They have no big wins over rivals. They haven't won an SEC championship. They obviously haven't won a national championship, and it's not for lack of talent or investment. It's just, for whatever reason, he is not. The way that he runs his program and leads the program is not bearing fruit. And another point that I want to bring up: whenever we're complaining about an assistant or a coach or whatever, like, I think that many LSU fans would love to still have Ed O. I think that many Auburn fans would still love to have Gus Malzahn. I mean, all of these other and Florida fans would take Dan Mullen back. All of these coaching changes have happened at all of these other programs that have a stronger brand than South Carolina. And again, I say that respectfully. No one holds South Carolina in higher esteem than I do. But LSU, Florida, Auburn, they have stronger brands, more program tradition, more money, and they still can't get the coaching hire right. I think so often people are expecting every hire, or like, everyone cannot be Bama or Georgia. And when I say Bama or Georgia, I mean Bama under Nick Saban or Georgia under Kirby Smart. There can only really be one or two of those at a time. And I know that everyone is aspiring to that. But this notion that if the guy that we have in the program right now is not producing those results, it means that we are better served by finding someone else, I think is the wrong mindset.
Valid point. What you got to say,
His
Ross?
His buyout is more than $50 million right now.
And in my opinion, that is the only reason that he is safe.
Yeah. But
people want to fire him today. He's just simply unlikable.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. And then again, he could right the ship, but I just don't see. They are in a similar situation to us in the sense of their offense has been anemic, and the fans are just pissed the fuck off because they're not fun to watch. It's just been despite being 4-1, despite winning a game on the road against Clemson, that was a big game at the time. You just lost to Ole Miss.
Clemson's performance after that has ruined that for them. Like,
that's what I'm saying.
Clemson had won every game following that, I think that they would feel a lot different about their season so far and where they see their team. But because Clemson sucks and they've literally only beat Troy since then, that win doesn't mean anything. I don't think that LSU has a good win yet. Because I don't think.
That's why people were bitching about the AP poll when they're number 4 when they don't have any good wins. And yes, I just want to reiterate that Clemson does suck. They are terrible. this year. And so, yeah, that's not a good win. But I do think, Ross, that's a good point to pull up the buyout because that's going to be tough because I already know Louisiana, they struggle with money in the big sense. And there's probably some big donors down there, like every school has a big donor, but do they want to pay whatever? Because they're going to have to pay a big
Yeah.
chunk because you're not getting
Yahoo
the.
says that it drops down to 42 in 2026.
Well,
It's not a big.
he.
It's a lot.
All I'm saying is his hot seat's heating up, and I want to mention another name that I think is going to be on the hot seat, and y'all will probably disagree, but I think it's James Franklin at Penn State. Talk about a fan base that's fed up. I mean,
Yeah,
they just lost to Oregon this past week, and look, in today's day in college football, it's different. Fans are more powerful than they've ever been. We've already seen what now 5 firings or 4 after Sam Pittman.
yeah.
Now that's the 4th firing
Yeah, 4.
in Power 4, and we know Billy's on the chopping block.
Maybe the 3rd. I
Billy's
forget.
a dead
It's either
man
3rd or 4th.
walking. Like,
Virginia Tech,
there's no way that
UCLA.
survives this season.
Yeah,
Look that up,
it's the
Ross. But I
4th.
think
It's the
it might
4th.
be okay. But I just think in today's day and age, Penn State, they've gotten it for 12 years from James Franklin, and they're finally fed up. It's just like, I mean, I don't know how many people that listen to this podcast watch the NBA, but Dwayne Casey was the Detroit Pistons coach, and he literally got Coach of the Year, and he was fired the same season because he got Coach of the Year because the Pistons, yes, they overperformed what their expectations were. That's why he won Coach of the Year. But then they still lost in the fucking first round of the playoffs. And so it was
You talking about the Pistons or the Raptors?
the Pistons, or was it the Raptors? He went to the
I think
Pistons.
it was the Raptors.
He got fired by the
Yeah,
Raptors.
he's like a special assistant now for the Pistons.
But he was the coach of the year in the NBA, and he got fired in the same season, whether it was for the Pistons or the Raptors. I can't remember. But
there's a hilarious picture of him holding that trophy.
Right, and it's like
he is not happy at all.
And it's like that's how I picture James Franklin. He's absolutely a good coach, and he's going to get 10 wins. But to what point will the fans tolerate not winning the big game? I mean, they finally beat a top 10 team last year, but then they lost to Oregon in the Big Ten championship, and then they got
What
2.
top 10 team did they beat last season?
I thought they won the Big Ten championship last year.
They lost to Oregon. But I thought they beat a Big Ten team.
They beat Southern Cal in LA, but I can't remember any other big wins.
Well, he made it to the Big Ten championship over Ohio State. I thought they beat Ohio State for some reason, but maybe they didn't.
No.
But he lost that game. He won a couple playoff games, so maybe that was what but they were playing Boise State. They got Boise State. I know.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
They won one playoff game.
He got a lucky draw.
It was SMU.
They beat SMU.
He got a lucky draw.
It was SMU and Boise.
But ultimately,
who booted them from the playoffs last season?
Notre Dame. Notre Dame beat them.
Yeah, that's right.
But ultimately, fans are going to be fed up, and that's the new age of college football. Fans are all powerful, as they should be, until fans stop having to pay for the rosters. Then I'm fine to take power away from the fans, but right now fans are paying for the rosters. Fans are fed up, and I think no one is more fed up than Penn State fans because they've just seen the same story 12 years in a row, that they have the team to do it and they never win the big game. And so I think James Franklin is potentially someone who, and I don't know what his buyout is, and I think Penn State though has the money to say fuck it, especially if they have a big name. That I think a big name would be drawn to Penn State. They have resources.
Who would you
they have
consider to be a big name? Like, in my opinion, I don't think that they're getting anyone better than James away from the schools that they're currently at. Like, who would you prefer to have over James Franklin?
His buyout is north of $50 million as well.
But I think they could. I think that's a different story for Penn State than LSU on the buyout. But Thomas, I'm thinking I don't have a list of names in my pocket.
Kirby is not leaving Georgia. I don't think that Dan Lanning would leave Oregon for Penn State. Ryan Day is not leaving Ohio State. Sark is not leaving Texas.
Yeah, but I don't think you go.
I don't think that Lane would leave. I think Lane is probably the most sought after.
I think he's going to go to Florida.
See, I don't think he's going to Florida. I think that the Florida job has become a lesser job than Ole Miss. At this point, I think Ole Miss has made enough investment. They give him whatever he wants. 5 years ago, I think he would have left Ole Miss for Florida, but I think that Ole Miss has surpassed the Florida job. I mean, the only thing that Florida has better than Ole Miss today is their recruiting footprint. But Lane barely even uses high school recruiting anymore. He uses the portal. So how does being in Florida with the same amount of money change? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think the only place that Lane leaves Ole Miss for is Alabama.
Still have to.
Like, if you're Penn State and you're tired of James
Franklin,
yeah,
I get it. Money drives a lot of shit, but you still have to recruit Florida kids to Ole Miss. You can recruit Florida kids to UF way easier than to Ole Miss.
And I get that, but he hasn't been kids. Yeah, he hasn't been recruiting out of high school. He's been using the portal
because he's at Ole Miss. Why would he recruit out of high school when he's at Ole Miss? It's hard to recruit high school kids to Ole Miss. That's the whole fucking point.
Having more developed players that are older, I think he's changed his philosophy about how he wants to build his teams.
I mean, potentially, but that's his philosophy at Ole Miss. That's his philosophy at Ole Miss.
I'll give you that.
Because that's how he has to win at Ole Miss. That's how you have to win at South Carolina. Like, if you go – I mean, Georgia wins in the portal – they get some dudes in the portal, but Georgia doesn't rely on the portal because they can recruit great five-star kids out of Florida and Georgia to just come there out of high school, and then hopefully they develop them and retain them. Ole Miss doesn't have a churn of – Florida perennially could be a top 10 high school recruiter, and they have been for our entire lives. Ole Miss has never been even top 25. That's why Lane has that approach, in my opinion. But to your point,
but I would also,
I don't know.
I would also
Oklahoma State. I'm just seeing it on the. I mean, Mike
Florida
Gundy won.
Florida's coming out of the Spurrier era in the '90s, and then they go right into Urban Meyer. Like, before Urban left, Florida had just always been good. So that also speaks to why they were able to recruit high school better than Ole Miss would have. Ole Miss has never been better consistently than they have been under Lane Kiffin right now.
Yeah. I mean, I'm with you. I just think as a whole, Florida is a better job than Ole Miss, just for me. But I think that's obviously debatable. But Thomas, we lost Thomas, so we're gonna filibuster here for a second. But I mean, I think Gundy, Ross, what do you think about Gundy? Like, he's an interesting candidate. He's an offensive-minded guy. I mean, I know he spent 20 some odd years at Oklahoma State.
You're asking me like what Gundy's going to do next?
I'm asking you if you think Gundy could go somewhere and win, like a Penn State or an LSU or a Florida or an Arkansas. I mean, what about Arkansas? I mean, I know we're going to talk about Arkansas a little bit when Thomas jumps back on, but
I think Gundy might be I think he'd be a really good play caller somewhere. I don't think any serious program would hire him as a head coach right now. So like anyone that wants to contend for a national championship.
So should we start the petition to get Mike Gundy to be South Carolina's offensive coordinator?
We need an offensive coordinator opening first.
No, that's only a joke. But I think he could make a splash somewhere. Whether that be, I mean, maybe Arkansas, I don't know, but Bobby Petrino
Was
seemed to.
I'm forgetting his name now. Who's the Ravens OC?
Todd Monken.
Yeah, he was a college head coach for a little while, wasn't he?
He was at,
right?
I think he was at Army, but I know he was Georgia's offensive coordinator before he went.
I know that too. I can see Mike Gundy going that route, going
offensive
to be
coordinator and then NFL.
No, I'm just saying, like, he'll go, like, he's like, you know what? Like, if I'm Mike Gundy, like, why do I want to be in charge of a program when I can just go be a sick OC somewhere with with a loaded roster? You know, like, I think that's just so, like, he's had the headache of being a head coach for most of my life now. Like, he's probably done with it. He's like, he was the top dog at the university that he played football at. Like,
I mean, he lived his dream.
He's the winningest quarterback for 20 years. Oklahoma State of all time and the winningest coach. He is.
Yeah, I mean,
I think he's gonna go saddle up and be an OC somewhere with a really good roster, or maybe he just won't coach at all. I don't know. But I don't think any serious Power 4 school would want to hire him as a head coach if winning a national championship is their ultimate goal.
Yeah, we'll see. I think he's a candidate for at least the Arkansas job, and I don't know if he even wants to coach. But let's talk about the main news in the coaching carousel this week. Sam Pittman was fired. We've been talking about Sam Pittman for a couple weeks on this podcast. I have, but I just know that Arkansas was going to flounder, and I thought they were going to at least let him ride to the end of the season, but they fired him today. And Beamer coached with him under Kirby Smart at Georgia. They have a relationship. I saw something. They were neighbors in Athens, and there's a good relationship there. And I'm just asking, why the hell this man? All right, he was the fit at Arkansas. He was the fit. Couldn't have had a better culture fit at Arkansas than Sam Pittman. They ran him out the door. I think, they're dumb for doing that, but why wouldn't he want to get paid $1 million to be a run game coordinator? Just give him a fucking title. Like, he doesn't have to have the offensive line coach title so that people feel like we're overpaying him. Give him whatever title you need to get him to Columbia, because we need him to bolster our offensive line. I think, again, we've recruited the position very well, and we aren't seeing the results. So I only think our recruiting can stay the same or get better with him. And I also think our play on the field will get better. And it's the one thing, again, that's been holding us back. And everything under the Beamer tenure has been pro-style offense, and pro-style offense is predicated on running the football. And we've had a bad offensive line his entire tenure. That's why we've had bad offenses his entire tenure. That's why everyone hated Marcus Satterfield. That's why everyone hated Dow Loggins. That's why everyone hates Mike Shula. They're all hated because they run a similar style of offense that's predicated on the run game, and we don't have the fucking hog mollies to run the ball. So why don't we go get the guy?
We had a solid run game last season.
Okay, y'all want to?
It was good.
You're defining solid by the first three, better than the first 3 years and better than this year. We are literally last in the SEC over 5 years of Beamer in rushing. We're last in the SEC. We're not good. We're not good. It's not good. And even if we were solid last year, solid was good for, I think, 13th in the SEC in rushing out of 16 teams. So where we need to go if we're going to run these styles of offense is you have to have dogs. Look at those styles of offense and who runs them. Michigan, Ohio State, Alabama, Georgia. What's
I
the
don't think
difference with
anyone's
those?
disagreeing with you that the run game needs to get better. I just don't think that Sam Pittman's going to want to come coach to South Carolina.
Why? Why? The
He's already
pay's
getting
there.
paid.
Yeah, exactly. Look at what Muschamp
Dude,
did.
he doesn't need.
We don't.
I
That's
don't
what I'm
think
saying.
he cares.
I mean, I guess
He doesn't care to come coach
He's
with a
getting
guy that he
paid
has
a
a good
lot of-
relationship with.
I guess it does.
He's
I guess
getting
it
paid a lot
depends
of
on
money
how
to do
good his
nothing else.
relationship with Beamer actually is, for one, and for two,
Yeah.
how does that affect Sean Elliott's role? Are you saying that
Fuck Sean Elliott.
why?
The proof's in the pudding. I'm fine with Sean Elliott, Lonnie Teasley gone. Get them gone. If Shane Beamer doesn't at least call Sam Pittman and say, "Would you like to coach our offensive line?" and if Sam Pittman says yes, I'm firing Sean Elliott and Lonnie Teasley the second after Sam Pittman commits. And you can't tell me no. Why? Why would you not do that?
Well, I don't know what.
I would love Sam Pittman
I don't
to
know
come.
how much power
Yeah.
Sean Elliott has over actually coaching the offensive line right now. I know that he's the tight ends coach
Yeah.
and the run game coordinator. I don't know what that means. I don't know what kind of oversight he has. I don't know the inner workings of how we're making decisions. There was a big Spur post that Sean Elliott was going to call the plays against whoever.
Yeah.
Like, we don't know what. I agree that the run game is not good enough. I agree that our offense needs to be better. If we want Beamer to become the coach that we think he can become and have long-term success, we need to find a way to be as good on offense as we have become on defense under Clayton White. So whether that means we need a new OC, a new offensive line coach, or whatever, I agree that we need more production and we have to be better. I'm not saying that I don't know that hiring Sam Pittman and firing Sean Elliott and Lonnie Teasley is how we do that. I'm not saying that wouldn't work either. But I do agree with Ross that I don't know why Sam Pittman would come to South Carolina unless he and Beamer are a lot closer than we understand that they are. I've seen everyone. I saw a Cincinnati Bengals fan say, "Give Sam Pittman a blank check to come fix our O-line."
That's what I'm saying.
It's like,
that's what I'm saying.
Okay, it's just like.
But that's what I'm saying. But it merits the phone call because you're not getting anywhere with what you have. So Beamer said it himself. What's the definition of insanity? Doing the same shit over and over again. And then he says that, but then he keeps fucking hiring pro-style offenses that we can't block for. He keeps the coaches on offense. I mean, if we want to be serious about moving the football with this shitty offensive line, then he should have gone out and gotten a guy like Kendall Briles or someone who's going to run a spread offense that hides our offensive line deficiencies. Because we're not Alabama or Georgia or Michigan or Ohio State where we can just bully guys. I mean, that's just where I'm at, and that's just why I want Sam Pittman because. And I'm not saying that Sam Pittman's like, oh shit, I want to go to South Carolina now that I got fired, but it's worth the call. That is why this is all coaching is. All it is a bunch of guys that have relationships. Why do you think all these guys that Nick Saban in the Nick Saban tree, Kirby goes to Georgia and then he gets Dan Lanning for 3 years to coach his defense and because he knew him, all he did was call him and say, hey, I got a job for you. As of right now, Sam Pittman doesn't have a job. So just give him a phone call and But that's my rant on Sam Pittman. I've been wanting to go in on that, and I think we need to do everything in our power to get him. And I'm willing to start the train now to get Sam Pittman to Columbia. But
I would love for him to be the O-line coach. I'm just not getting my hopes up. I don't think
that's what I'm saying. We don't have to he doesn't have to be the O-line coach. Just get him on the fucking staff. Like,
I'd be fine with that too.
Just he doesn't need a title, and he doesn't need money apparently, but just give him a position in the building where he can make a difference. I mean, that's all Kirby did with Muschamp at Georgia. He was a freaking analyst because we were paying him his buyout. Like, and he made a difference in Georgia's staff, whether we like to believe it or not. They won 2 national championships with him on staff. So, anyways, that's the soapbox. That's the soapbox. Coaching carousel. That was good conversation.
Yeah.
We're gonna dive in quickly to a listener question.
No. We're not done with coaching carousel. Because I think Petrino. I got to get this Petrino take off my chest.
All right, get your Petrino take off.
That's not that hot of a take. I think a lot of people agree with this. I think he's going to be the coach next season.
Well, did you see what the AD said? The AD press conference, he was like, the reason Sam Pittman's fired is because he didn't have the resources, and everyone was commenting on it like, bro, you're the athletic director. It's your job to give the coach the resources. So the AD is clearly, I don't think the AD is attracting anyone to the Arkansas job. Just by those statements, it's like, hey, this man didn't have the resources. Like, so I think Petrino is definitely in line to get the job because he's already there. And I know he's gunning for it. I know he fired a bunch of the staff already, like acting like he's already.
He's acting. Yeah. That's what I was going to say. He's already acting like it's his job to lose.
So I think it could be his. I mean, if we get another motorcycle neck brace press conference with, I mean, Petrino at Arkansas.
That's probably going to be written into his new contract. Is that he can't have a motorcycle?
No motorcycles and no interns.
No motorcycles for Coach Petrino.
But we'll see. But I do agree with you, Ross. I think he's gunning for the job, and I think there's a good potential that they don't find anyone.
I just think I don't think there's another coach in the country that wants that job more than he does, and he's already on staff.
I know. He's got the inside track.
My only input to this part of the discussion is I think Arkansas would be insane to hire Petrino.
They've done a lot worse, dude.
That's
the Chad Morris experiment.
We'll see how it.
Sam Pittman. Out. And another going back to the Sam Pittman conversation. One more point I want to make. It's like I kind of feel bad for the guy. It sounds like this. This decision was made like 9 months ago, but they just let it go on. It's like it sounded like they knew they were going to fire him this year at the end of last football season. I don't know why they just didn't.
Well, they should. Yeah, they probably should have fired him.
I feel really bad for the fans too, because I think a lot of fans would echo that sentiment. It's like we knew this was going to happen. I don't know why we just didn't get it over with.
Yeah, I think they liked him. I think they loved him, and he was a culture fit. And what can you do? All right, let's move on. That was great.
Baines, are we gonna answer Baines' question?
Yeah, we need to get to the listener questions. This one is from Bane Collins, Greenville, South Carolina, class of 2015. What is with Mazio's lack of involvement on offense so far? Has he been out recruited? I'll go first, and then if you guys want to add to that, y'all can. I think a lot of it has to do with what position each wide receiver plays. For example, I think that our base offense, we have 3 wide receivers on the field, 1 tight end, 1 running back. And I'm not positive about this, but I think that Mazio and Vandrevius play the same position. So if Jacobs is the starter, Mazio is only on the field when he is off the field. And he's kind of become our number one guy. And I think he's become Lenoris's kind of safety blanket. I don't know if that's a thing that they've developed in practice or just he has been the guy that's been making the plays in the games. But, Mazio had that opportunity for that big play against Missouri. He wasn't able to squeeze it. That was partly due to the throw, but the throw was affected by the pressure. The stunt that I was referring to during the Kentucky game where we didn't pick it up properly and Lenoris took that sack, he was looking at Mazio. So we still are trying to get him the ball. I don't know that he's necessarily been out recruited. I just think it is a symptom of us not being very consistent on offense and not having a lot of long drives where we're able to distribute the ball to a lot of different players. When you possess the ball and when you get first downs, that gives you more plays and more opportunities to share the rock. And we just haven't been an offense that's done that a lot this year. And so the opportunities have been limited. I still see Mazio as a valuable player. He's a guy that's made plays for us in the past, and I expect him to factor into our offense in the future. I do think that the freshman receivers are really good, though. And, all of the receivers on the team are going to have to fight for the opportunity to remain on the field because there's a lot of talent in that room now.
Yeah, I don't really have much to add to that. That was pretty well done from Thomas. I think Dre Jacobs has become the number one guy outside of Nick, and I think Nick plays a different position than Mazio and Dre, so that creates less opportunity for Mazio. I also think we've been anemic on offense, and so the opportunities haven't been as plentiful. And to Thomas's point, had a chance for a big play against Missouri. Not that it was an easy catch, but would have loved to see him pull that in just for his confidence and just for Lenoris's confidence in him. But I agree. I think he's still going to be super talented kid and a great kid from all indications. And so I don't think he's going to pout or become a bad teammate because he's not getting the opportunities early. I think he could make some big plays for us down the stretch of this season, and hopefully he does. I'm rooting for the kid. He's a Greenville High kid. Thomas and I went to Greenville High, so he's a double whammy for us. Greenville High and South Carolina. No one we want to have more success than kid like Mazio. So hopefully he'll get back involved, and I just think it's been a natural. I do think the freshman receivers are good. We've seen Murph and we've seen Brian Rowe getting some snaps, and so I think that's taken away from even Mazio's opportunity to get on the field, let alone when he's on the field getting an opportunity to get the ball. Just because, again, our offense has been anemic and we haven't thrown a lot of passes. I think Lenoris only threw 14 passes against Kentucky. We all know the Virginia Tech game, and there was the big play to Nick, but not a lot cooking, and Vanderbilt, Luke, Lenoris gets hurt. So I think the opportunities are there for Mazio. I just hope he keeps his head down and I know he will. He's a great kid, and looking forward to him making plays in the second half of the season. I just think as an offense as a whole, whether it's Mazio or any of the receivers, I would love to see some guys make some plays outside of Nick and Dre, who have been good and have been the ones who have been making the plays in the passing game. So appreciate that question, Bane. As always, submit questions on Twitter or Instagram DMs. I love going through these on every episode. So whether it's one, whether it's a couple, we'll always get to listener questions to make sure we're talking about what the fans are thinking about. Because, again, we're fans.
Don't be afraid to ask those questions on the YouTube comment section either, because I check those
YouTube
like every day.
comments as well. Anywhere, just get us the questions, whether it's text messages to me and Thomas. I know we've had some people that have done that too. So just let us know what you want us to talk about, we'll answer the questions. So with that, let's get into the action this weekend. There's some good action. Carolina's on a bye, so I think the one thing about a bye week for me is it's stress free. You don't have to worry about Carolina and what's going to happen in our game. You get to actually enjoy the college football slate for what it is. So these are, while I think it's amazing every time Carolina plays, and we only get it 12 weekends a year in the regular season, and it's gone in a flash. I do enjoy these bye weekends for the ability to watch college football and enjoy myself on Saturdays without worrying about what's going to happen in the Carolina games. So I think we should probably dive into the DB Blitz. I think that'll cover a lot of the action that's going to happen this week, and we want to talk gambling. So I went 4-1 last week. I got a little mojo. I'm feeling good about what I have this week as well. Let me dive into my picks first, Thomas, and then we will get to yours. The DB Blitz is sponsored by Touchdowns 5 Points. If you want to have a good time watching a game, go down to Touchdowns and 5 Points on Hardin Street. Great wings, the best Philly cheesesteak in Columbia. Cold drinks, always getting served up with great service. Get down to Touchdowns 5 Points if you need a cold refreshment, watch a game, get a good meal in you. Touchdowns 5 Points. So let's get into the picks. I don't know what Thomas picked, but I'm hoping we have some opposite sides this week so I can make
There is some opposites. There are some opposites this week for the first time all season.
Hold on.
Like.
Put it, Ross, put in the chat what we don't have opposite so I can talk about those games first. And then maybe we'll let Thomas talk about his games that we aren't opposite. And then we can talk about the games that we do have opposite together. How about that? Come on, Ross. Come on, producer Ross. I mean, geez, this is why we're paying you, bro.
Just keep talking. Just talk about the ones that you don't share.
Beck, you and I are on the same side of the Miami game. We are on the opposite side of the Vandy-Bama game.
Is that it?
Yeah. Although,
so we're only on the opposite side of one game.
I mean, I didn't take anything in the Florida-Texas game, but if I were to take something, I would have taken Texas. So I disagree with the side that you're on for that game.
Well, okay, so you're only officially on. We're only officially differing on.
We are
Bama,
only officially
Vandy.
different on the Bama Vandy game, and we are on the same.
All right, well, let me go. Okay, let me go through my 4 games. Okay, you want to talk about? Let's talk about Bama Vandy first.
Yeah, talk about that one first.
All right, I got Bama minus 10.5, and I'm going to tell y'all why. First of all, I'm sick of Vanderbilt Twitter. They've been all over my algorithm, and I'm just sick of it. Like, but from a football perspective, I just think Bama, what Vanderbilt's done has been impressive so far. I know they beat the shit out of South Carolina, so I'm not taking anything away from Vandy. While I think that game could have gone a different way, had some things happen, yes. And Vandy, to this point, probably their most impressive win is that win against us, and we are not necessarily a world beater. And our starting quarterback got hurt in the first half. So, with that being said, Bama, they lost this game against Florida State at the beginning of the season. Probably the best thing that happened to them. They've righted the ship, and I think they have a mindset of we no longer can screw up. They're not going to be walking through games, and they're definitely not going to be overlooking Vandy. College game days there, and Ty Simpson's been money. I'm not going to lie. He's been money since the Florida State game. They went into Athens and ended the longest home winning streak in the country against a great Georgia team. Yeah, Georgia, there were some plays to be made that Georgia didn't make, and Bama failed to
Georgia's
even
offense
score a
hurts to
point.
watch.
Yeah, I mean, and Bama failed to score a point in the second half, but they
Yeah,
still found a way to win the game. I just think
I think Georgia outgained them, and I want to say they had. I want to
but
say
the talent is there for Bama, and I think they're
yeah.
harnessing it. Like Ryan Williams is starting to heat up, and I know he got a lot of pub as one of the top receivers in the country, and a lot of it was just based on that one play he made against Georgia last year. He wasn't really a consistent threat last year as far as
Oh, through the first half last year, like that kid was a
no,
rock
but I mean
star. He was a
but
5-star too.
Georgia,
Like he's a good player.
Georgia was the only game last year he had 100 yards receiving. The only game he went over 100 yards receiving was Georgia last year. Look that up.
I know. Yeah,
But I'm just
that's a
saying,
fact. I know that.
as a consistent guy, he wasn't who we thought he was. But I think he's beginning to show that, and I just think Bama at home revenge game. I mean, I know they're gonna have a chance if they have a chance to score late. If they're losing or if they're winning by 7, they're gonna score a touchdown as opposed to. I just think they're just going to try and put it on them. I don't think they're going to need to score a late touchdown. I just think they're going to dominate the game and maybe call it a gut feeling. But
Isn't that crazy to say that Bama Vandy's a revenge game?
yeah, it is. What do you think, Thomas? Why are you on Vandy?
I just think 10.5 is too much. I have respect for the DNA of the Vanderbilt football team. I do still feel that we would have beat them if Lenoris was healthy, but the way that they play football, they have taken on the personality of Clark Lee. They run the ball. They play tough defense, and I do still think that Alabama ends up winning this game at home, but I think it's by less than 2 touchdowns. I think the hook is very important in this game. I think that I could easily see Alabama winning by a touchdown or 10 points, but I do think that Vanderbilt covers the 10.5. I could be wrong. That's just that is how I feel about that game. I've seen enough.
I think
I've seen Vanderbilt do it.
Bama's going to win 42-21. There's a score prediction.
Okay.
I think they're going to win this game easy, but we'll talk about it on Sunday.
Yes, we will.
We'll see who's right because hey, listeners, I'm the one who's hot. Don't look at the overall record. Look at the recency bias. 4-1 last week. So outside of Bama, I'm also on Miami against Florida State. I think Florida State again. They beat Bama, and they had a lot of hype. They lost to Virginia last week, which took a lot out of this game. I think game day would have probably been in Tallahassee had they taken care of business against Virginia. But I just I like Carson Beck against this team. He's experienced in these types of games, having played in a lot of them at Georgia. They have really strong offensive and defensive line. I think Ruben Bain is their defensive end is starting to get Heisman hype. I haven't watched enough. I watched their game against Notre Dame and a little bit of their game against Florida, but I haven't watched them enough to really know what he's been doing. But I've just seen that he's getting Heisman hype. They have legitimate players all over the field. And Florida State, again, I think maybe they were walking on water a little bit after beating Bama and kind of catching Bama on a bad day, we'll say. And Bama's looked a lot better since that game, and Florida State's looked a lot worse. They played 2 scrubs and beat them by 70, and then their first Power 4 opponent since they played Bama was Virginia, and they lost that game. They gave up 46 points. I think Carson Beck will be able to move the ball against them, and I think their defense does enough and makes plays to win that game, even on the road as a 4.5 point favorite. I'm taking Florida +7. I know this seems crazy because Florida's been dog shit and Billy's on, but this is just a desperate team, and this is more about Texas than Florida, I think. Texas hasn't shown me shit. So until they show me something, Florida's defense is good. I think they can agitate Arch and make it uncomfortable for Arch. He hasn't looked good against anyone. So, especially against a good Florida defense in the swamp, again, they're desperate. I think they might not win this game. And again, they could go on the skid that will eventually end in Billy getting fired. If they find a way to win this game, who knows what his fate will be. But I just think Florida is desperate. They've played, Florida has played a really actually good schedule. I think they've been obviously tested and they haven't met, they haven't aced any test yet, but they've been tested, so it's not going to be a scare for them to be playing Texas's defense. I think DJ Lagway has nothing to lose. He threw 5 picks against LSU. Like they are just going to be playing free in my mind. Like they have nothing to lose. Their coach is about to get fired. The quarterback's probably going to transfer. Like I just see them covering this game, maybe winning it outright. Um, Iowa State plus 1.5. Take 1.5 or the money line. I just think Iowa State's a great team. I bet on them earlier in the year against Kansas State in Ireland. I picked them to make the playoff. I just think they're a good team out of the Big 12, and they don't get a lot of respect. I think their fans are pretty pissed off that they're 5-0 and they're still.
Oh no, did we lose him?
I can't hear you.
Oh yeah, Beck, what'd you say? Oh
Should I start going on mine?
no, hold on, Beck, can you hear us?
Should I dive
No,
in?
dude, we cannot hear you.
Should I dive in? All right.
Okay, Beck, try now. I turned your mic on.
Barely.
Yes. It's okay. You know, Kirby doesn't like to run it up on his butt buddy, Mark Stoops. They, so, okay. Lock.
All right.
I hear you.
Should the guy that's above 500 get started? All right. Echoing your sentiment on Miami, one of my losses last week was Florida State -7 against Virginia, so I watched that entire game. And yeah, the Florida State defense just got diced up by Virginia. I think that Carson Beck will be able to move the ball pretty much at will against them, and I do think that they can cover 4.5. I already told you why I'm on Vandy plus 10.5, so I won't beat a dead horse. I took Mississippi State plus 14 against Texas A&M. I was impressed by what they were able to do against Tennessee. That game went to overtime. I still would have Texas A&M winning that game, but I do think that Mississippi State has shown enough this year that they can cover 2 touchdowns, and Texas A&M hasn't been super explosive offensively. I think they beat Auburn 16-10. So I just think that Mississippi State does enough to cover the 2 touchdowns. Penn State minus 25.5. In the same way that James Franklin can never win the big game, Penn State is automatic in these type of games. UCLA is 0-4.
Where are they playing? Oh, okay.
They've already fired their coach. I don't know if Nico is still starting or not, but I just see that as a game that, Penn State just takes out the frustration and covers 4 touchdowns pretty simply. And then the last pick, Virginia, Louisville over 61.5. I know that's a huge number, but I looked it up. The only game that Virginia has gone under 60 points this year was against Coastal, and that's because they held Coastal to 7 points. They beat them 48-7, so still almost got there. Every single Power 4 opponent that Virginia has played this year, that game has gone over 60 points. And Louisville has a good offense as well. So I see this game as both of them in the 30s, if not 40s, and I like them to cover that over.
Yeah. Do you have any max bets this weekend, Thomas?
I did not take any max bets this week, but I will say, guys, that I am getting close to having my bankroll in a situation where my standard unit will be increased.
Okay.
I know I've been kind of checking I've been checking my phone a little bit during this episode. I just hit the Dodgers over 8 runs. Dodgers Cincinnati Reds over 8 tonight. I hit over 7 last night. So if the Rams cover 6.5 tomorrow night, I will officially be moving the standard unit up.
I like Rams tomorrow night.
I love the Rams tomorrow.
I hope. I'm not even betting on that game tomorrow night. I just hope that the Rams. Do we? Yes, please. Hey, there's no Madcock this week. That is obvious. But is there any fun to be had in this UNC Clemson game, or is Clemson going to beat them by 2 touchdowns?
See, that's the thing. I think that North Carolina is so bad that
they're horrible.
That I could potentially break the cardinal rule of never bet on your rival, because it just makes me so sick to my stomach to root for Clemson to do well. But I think that North Carolina is so bad that it's almost free money.
I think 14 is disrespectful to Clemson in this game. I agree.
That's what I'm saying.
This could be a like you were saying, Penn State might be letting out their frustrations at UCLA.
And I don't even think that it would be Clemson letting out any frustration. I think that for whatever is going wrong with their program, which, again, I love, and I hope that it gets worse. So I am tempted to just not put any money down so I can root for them to continue to look horrible. But North Carolina is just so bad.
North Carolina is really bad.
Central Florida beat the fuck out of them. Central Florida and I covered, Central Florida was 6.5-point favorites against North Carolina, and they beat them by like 30 points. And it was never competitive. Never for a second.
No matter who loses this game, it's going to be hilarious.
But it kind of feels like free money to take Clemson minus 14.
It does a little bit. And Clemson, if Clemson does their job this weekend, my preseason my 2-10 joke is quickly could become reality.
Oh yeah.
For UNC.
Oh yeah. Go Cox.
Go Cox.